Hello everybody, Dark Ninja here, and today I'm going to be making a video on something that's been bothering me quite a lot over the past few years. I've seen a lot of people complain about how the mouse has no armor, and that the only thing you need to do to defeat a mouse is to press the 2 key and just load gold, and then you're just good to go, and it can't bounce anything. You just go straight through the turret, and there's no problems whatsoever. And I'm here to tell you that even against gold shells, the mouse can reliably bounce, or can usually bounce those gold shells. And I'm not even talking like tier 9 gold shells or anything. I'm going to show you how you can reliably bounce even 330 and sometimes 340 pen gold shells pretty reliably in the mouse. So the main problem with the mouse is not really with the mouse at all. The mouse has great armor. People just don't know how to use it correctly, especially the turret armor in the mouse. And it's a common mistake that I see very often whenever I'm playing against enemy mouse players. They simply just don't know how to angle the mouse. And for that reason, they think that the mouse sucks, when in reality it really doesn't. So what I see a lot of mouse players do, they'll pull up to a corner, or they'll just be in the open against an enemy. They'll pull around, and then they'll angle the turret something like this. Or sometimes, even more egregiously, they'll just angle it in line with their hull, and then just kind of rock back and forwards like this. And this is exactly how you do not want to angle your mouse. So let me just switch to the other perspective real quick. So the opponent, this is what they see when you angle like this. So I have a pen indicator mod here, which shows my penetration on the left and the effective penetration on the right. As you can see, the whole side turret is completely unpennable. It's like 500 millimeters. But the turret cheeks are 300 millimeters, and I have 330 millimeters of pen. This is like a very, very easy pen. Like, yes, there's some RNG. My shot just went high there and it misses. But this is going to pen most of the time. And so the solution to this in your mouse is simply to angle your turret like way more than you currently are. So if you actually angle your mouse turret correctly, and I know this looks like a very extreme angle right now, like it looks like he's just going to pen my side turret, but I'll just switch to the other perspective of the E50M. And this is the shot I have. So the side of the turret is now 349 and my pen is 330. So I can still pen it if I get lucky, as you can see. But the pen roll is not in my favor anymore. And if you look at the front of the turret, it's 360, and that is not a good pen either. That won't pen most of the time. So just by over-angling your turret way more than you need to, you can actually make it so that heat shells have a very low chance of going through the turret. So like in this situation, it's 347 versus 330, and I bounce off of it. And really the optimal angle for your mouse turret kind of depends on the pen of the enemy, but I would say in general it's something like this. So I don't know the exact degrees that this is, but you can kind of eyeball it, and once you get used to it, um, you can put your turret in a much better position to way more often reliably bounce shots. And I would say that 99, or probably not 99, but probably like 90 to 95% of mouse players do not angle their turret to the side nearly far enough. And so I'll just show you. This is probably the optimal angle versus an E50M, which is 330 pen. And I'll just show you again. The side turret is 383. The front turret is still the better angle, and it looks like I'm actually still under angled slightly, which is kind of crazy because you see how far angled my turret is. The front is still 335. So to be honest, even me, in this situation, I'm under angling my turret, which is kind of surprising. This is probably a better angle. Anyways, there is still a problem with the mouse angling like this optimally, which I'm sure a lot of players know about, but if you don't know about it, I will teach you right now. So the side is 370, which is basically very low chance to pen. The front is now 342, and it's a pretty small target. If I go slightly too high, it's 360. Slightly too low, it's 380. The best place to shoot in this situation, if you ever see a mouse angled like this, is actually on the side of the mantlet. You can pen this area, like right here, very easily. But if you wiggle back and forth in your mouse and turn your turret slightly to side as you and just wiggle, this shot is not an easy shot because it's quite a small target. And another thing to point out in the mouse is that this side of your turret is this side of your mantlet I should say, is far easier to pen than this side of your mantlet. The target on this side is quite a bit smaller. It's like on the side of the mantlet here, whereas on this side they can pen this machine gun port. So whenever you can in your mouse, try to angle your turret this way. So you could even go like this, for example, making it quite a bit harder. So I think this is probably the right angle. Something like this. I'll switch to the other perspective again. Okay, so now the front, it looks like I'm not angled enough again. It's pretty hard to judge. It really is how much you should angle your turret, but now the side is like unpennable 400 and the front is 323, so I'm still not angled enough. But I'll just show you the mantlet weak spot now. Pretend I'm angled a little bit more. Mantlet weak spot, it's a much thinner target. It's just in this area right here, and if they're moving their turret back and forth and moving their hull side to side, it's quite a lot harder to shoot at, and a lot of people don't even know about the weak spot, and so they just end up shooting your side turret. And again, if you over angle your side, even if they have a chance to pen it, a lot of the time that pen roll is not in their favor, and so they'll shoot it and bounce, and that will just waste their time, and then you get to shoot them back, and so then not only do you have 3,500 hit points, but they're bouncing half the shots off of you, and you're penning all of your shots in return on them. You can 1v1 any tank in the game that way. So yeah, that's just a couple tips for angling the mouse. Another tip that I would add to this is just kind of like a bonus tip. If you are in the mouse, and let's just say you're in the open against the C50M, oftentimes another trick I'll use. So let's say I'm like in the open here, angled something like this, preferably with my turret in this orientation so that he has a worse shot on my mantlet. You angle something like this, he can pen me. This is kind of the perspective he has. The shot on the lower plate is pennable, but not an easy shot because these space armor on the tracks kind of blocks it, so it's kind of a small shot, especially if you're moving backwards and forwards. The side, they kind of have to shoot here, but the thing is, and then turret's not an easy shot as well. They can probably pen here. But basically, the trick is you look at where they're aiming. So you zoom in, it looks like he's aiming at my turret. And then I just start focusing on going like this with my turret, and moving back and forward to make the shot on my mantlet and frontal turret hard. And then if I see him and he's aiming at my lower plate, then I can over angle my lower plate just a little bit. And then if I expect him to, because when I over angle my lower plate, suddenly my side becomes a target. If I see that he switches his aim to my side, or I expect him to switch my aim to my side, then I just quickly angle back. So you can kind of go like this, you know, like this. And then just depending on where you see them aiming, you over angle that part of the armor to make it much harder to pen. And I guess even the whole armor of the mouse, I see people not angle enough. So I'll see a lot of mouse players, they'll be kind of like this, and they'll just be kind of going back and forth. This is a very ineffective angle against like things with high heat pen. This would be fine angling if you're playing against like an IS-3 because they can't pen your lower plate anyways. But against something with 330 heat pen, like all of this armor here and this armor here, my side turret, is already completely unpennable. And so you're just giving them the obvious choice of shooting your side turret or your lower plate. And so there's really no reason why you shouldn't angle more than that. And this looks like an extreme angle for the hull and for the turret, but really it isn't. You can angle your turret even more than this. And so this is kind of like a more proper angle for the mouse against a 330 heat pen gun. And so that's really pretty much everything that I wanted to cover about how to angle the mouse in general. However, there is one more niche thing that I have to talk about, and that is when you're playing against something which has like 375 plus millimeters of penetration, so like a T-124 or just tier 10 tank destroyers like the Wheezy TD or the Jag Panzer 100. When you're playing against a Jag Panzer 100, Suddenly, this angling, which is like the best angling against most of the tanks you're going to be facing, which have like 330 or less pen, suddenly becomes a problem because what you're doing is giving them this area to pen because they have so great pen that it'll go through that. They can also pen the front of your turret. They can also pen your side, and they can also pen your lower plate. And so in those situations, it actually is better to give less of an angle. And instead, what you want to do is try to bait them into shooting a very highly angled surface, because if it's not highly angled, you have no chance of bouncing it anyways. So oftentimes against a Yag, I'll just kind of try to give them my side turret and then go like that at the last second, or I'll give them the front of my turret and then go like that at the last second, making them try to hit the side of my turret, etc. So yeah, just some things to keep in mind when you're playing your mouse. And to be honest, I think the mouse still in 2024 is an extremely good tank and very underrated. And I think that, to be honest, might be a controversial thing to say, but I think it might actually have the best armor in the game. It depends on the situation, of course. Like in some situations, a 279's armor is just flat out better when you're on like a hull down or if you can angle your hull up. But for just driving in front of like several tanks who are just shooting you from multiple angles, like from over here and over here, a lot of the time you can angle towards multiple tanks all at the same time, if you do it properly. Whereas a 279, its side armor sucks, so you can't get away with angling towards multiple tanks at the same time. Alright, that's pretty much all I had to cover. Hopefully you learned something from this video, whether about how to pen a mouse or how to angle your mouse yourself. And I hope it was helpful. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.